You ever hear the one about the guy whose wife said she was visiting her mother, only for her suitcase to be packed with sunscreen and betrayal? No? Buckle up. My name's Cole. 38, homeowner, decent job, decent hairline, decent life. At least that's what I thought. You could say I was a simple guy. I paid my taxes, watered the lawn, never forgot an anniversary. Hell, I even liked her cooking. But apparently, all that wasn't enough to compete with a beach and a Bluetooth speaker full of bad decisions. It started on a Tuesday, always something about Tuesdays. They're not tragic like Mondays or exciting like Fridays. They're just there, silently waiting to ruin your week. Hey, babe, she said that morning, tossing a duffel onto the bed. Mom's been feeling down lately. I'm going to stay with her for a few days, just to lift her spirits. Now I'm not the suspicious type. I wasn't checking phones or sniffing collars. But something about the duffel caught my eye. Maybe it was the way it flopped, not heavy enough for sweaters and guilt trips. You sure you don't want me to come with? I asked, more out of habit than hope. She smiled, a polished little lie behind that smile, but I missed it at the time. No, Cole. She needs girl time. You understand. Sure. I understood. She left in the afternoon. Quick hug, peck on the cheek, and out the door with her bag and her secrets. I waved from the porch like a fool in a Hallmark commercial, then walked back inside, shaking off a strange tightness in my gut. Now, here's where fate, or dumb luck, came in. I was looking for duct tape in the garage when I realized she'd forgotten her water bottle. Being the sweetheart I am, I figured I'd toss it in her bag and drive it over. It was still sitting in the hallway where she'd dropped it earlier, zipper half open. What harm could a quick peek do, right? The first thing I noticed was a bikini. Not just any bikini, a barely there, neon pink, SPF, 100 proof kind of bikini. I pulled it out like I was disarming a bomb. Sunscreen, flip-flops, 2 beach reeds, a wide-brimmed hat, no sweaters, no fuzzy socks. Definitely no "mom's been lonely lately" type of gear. Suddenly, the tightness in my gut made sense. I stood there in the hallway holding betrayal by the string ties, and one word fell out of my mouth like an old friend I never wanted to see again. Nope. That's when the story really began. Not with shouting, not with accusations, but with me standing in silence, staring at a bag that told the truth better than she ever had. And if you're thinking, Cole, maybe there's an explanation, trust me, I hope there was too. Now, if I were the dramatic type, I'd say I dropped the bikini in slow motion, stared into the void, and collapsed under the weight of betrayal. But I'm not that guy. No, I stood there like someone trying to remember if they left the oven on. Just staring. Because you know what hit me harder than the beachwear? She looked me in the eyes when she said, "Mom's lonely." That line came out smooth, like she'd said it 100 times before. Maybe she had. I put the bikini back. Not out of respect, but because I needed to process, not prosecute, yet. You don't light the fuse before checking the wiring. So I did what any wounded husband with a suspicion and a healthy internet connection would do. I started checking things. First stop, her mom's social media. Quiet, as expected, except she had just posted a photo of her crocheting in Minnesota with her actual dog. Timestamp that same morning. Not even the same state. Strike one. I opened her laptop. She left it on the coffee table because liars make mistakes. Chrome was still logged in. I pulled up her emails, expecting maybe receipts or a hotel confirmation. What I found? A folder. Hidden, but not too well. Titled Clash Trip. I mean, points for irony? Inside were screenshots. Airbnb reservations in San Diego. A Jeep rental. A candlelight dinner cruise confirmation. And a message from someone named Ryan, timestamped last night. Can't wait to see you in the sun again, babe. That white bikini's got my name on it. White. I stood corrected. Apparently, there were 2 bikinis in that bag. Strike 2. I didn't go nuclear. Not yet. You don't drop the bomb until you know exactly where to aim it. So I called her. Calm, like a man who still thought maybe this was all one big misunderstanding. Hey, I said. How's your mom? Oh, tired, she replied. We just finished lunch. Nice. What's she making these days? She hesitated. Her usual, turkey sandwiches. Funny. Her last post was a vegetarian stir-fry. Caught in 4K by lentils and logic. Strike 3. She was lying to me like it was a second language, and I just realized I never got the Rosetta Stone. But here's the thing, I didn't scream. I didn't text Ryan a string of capital letters or throw her stuff on the lawn. No, I smiled. Because sometimes, knowing is power. And I suddenly had all the power. I just needed one last thing to finish the puzzle. Something in my gut said, check her location. Turns out she'd left her Find My Friends active. She must have assumed I'd never use it, because she'd shared her location months ago. I opened the app. There she was. Palm trees. Ocean view. A 3-star resort called Azure Sands right off the coast. So much for turkey sandwiches. I stood there with the evidence, my pulse slow, my heart strangely calm. I knew now. She wasn't at her mom's. She wasn't confused. She wasn't lost. She was exactly where she wanted to be with Ryan. Now it was my turn to decide where I wanted to be. And spoiler alert, it wasn't in this house, sitting in betrayal's waiting room. So now I had a digital map pointing me straight to my wife's betrayal. I watched her little location pin float like a trader's flag above Azure Sands Resort. 3.5 stars, ocean view, and complimentary champagne for couples celebrating anniversaries. It was a 3-hour drive. You know how long 3 hours feels when you're sitting next to the ghost of your marriage? Real long. But I made it. Did I storm in? No. I booked a room. I had a plan. A little trick I picked up from my days in IT. If you want to catch someone lying, don't just confront them. Witness them. I checked in under a fake name. Wore sunglasses. Took the elevator like I was in a spy movie, except instead of saving the world, I was about to shatter mine on purpose. The receptionist had been nice enough to mention a beautiful couple from out of state, had been raving about the sweet view all week. I asked which room, said I wanted the one with the same ocean breeze. She told me, room 312. I made my way up, not fast, not slow. Like a man walking toward a moment that'll brand him for life. I didn't knock. That would be theatrical. No, I waited, outside, down the hall, watching. And then it happened. The door opened. Out walked my wife. White bikini. Wide-brimmed hat. Laughing. On her arm? Ryan. Tall. Tan. Abs like someone who takes gym selfies in the mirror and captions them, grind never stops. She touched his arm like it was hers. Leaned into him. Like I never existed. They walked past me. Didn't even glance. Why would they? I was invisible now, yesterday's man. I followed them at a distance, down to the beach. Couples lounged under umbrellas. Kids built castles that would crumble with the tide. And in the middle of it all, there she was. The woman who said she needed time with her mother, sipping a mimosa and feeding strawberries to someone who wasn't me. I took a photo. No, several. Her smile. His hand on her thigh. Their glasses clinking. Then I turned and walked away. I didn't confront her. That moment wasn't for yelling. That was for learning. That was the moment I stopped being in love with her and started being free from her. But here's the thing about revenge. It doesn't start with fury. It starts with focus. And by the time I got back to my car, I was more focused than I'd ever been in my life. They thought I wouldn't find out. They thought this was their private paradise. They didn't know I had just become the storm. Driving back from that resort, my heart wasn't broken. It was filed. Sorted. Labeled. Evidence secured. I wasn't planning revenge that would land me behind bars. No. I wanted something that would sit with them forever. A reminder. A scar. Because I knew this much. When someone stabs you in the back, you don't get even by screaming. You get even by becoming the ghost they see every time they close their eyes. I parked the car in our driveway, my driveway, and stepped inside our house like it was a museum to my own naivety. Every photo, every throw pillow, every live, laugh, love sign on the wall mocked me. I didn't touch a thing. I didn't need to. My plan didn't involve rage. It involved documentation. First, I called a lawyer. A good one. The kind who doesn't blink when you say words like adultery and asset protection. Do you have proof? She asked. I sent the photos. The texts. The location pin. More than enough, she said after a pause. Let's begin. While she drafted papers, I began editing our lives. Our shared bank account? I had already opened a separate one. Utilities? Switched to my name only. The house? Bought before we married, still under my name. Rookie mistake on her part. Major win on mine. But I wasn't done. See, my wife wasn't just cheating on a man, she was cheating on a life that had carried her. When we met, she had nothing but a suitcase and some ambition. I helped her build the scaffolding for her career, encouraged her through night classes, sat through endless motivational seminars. She used to tell me I was the only one who believed in her. No, she believed in Ryan. So I started the next part of the plan. I called her job and asked to speak with HR. I'm her husband, I said, calm as an accountant. And I just wanted to confirm something about her PTO, She said she was on family emergency leave. The silence on the other end was confirmation. No, the rep said slowly. She listed vacation time. Said she was in Cabo. Interesting. Not a lie to me, a lie to them. That mattered. After hanging up, I drafted an anonymous email. Screenshots. Photos. A brief, dry paragraph about company reputation and vacation fraud. No threats. No drama. Just information. Send. Next, I printed copies of everything. Labeled each envelope. One for her boss. One for her. One for Ryan, just in case he was dumb enough to think she was a prize. The lawyer sent over the divorce petition. Cited infidelity. Full documentation. She even offered to file it while my wife was still tanning poolside. I like that. Now, here's where it gets poetic. She came home 3 days later. Walked through the front door like she'd been out buying groceries, not dismantling a marriage with a pool boy in designer sandals. Hey, she said casually, sunglasses still on. Miss me? I didn't say a word. Just handed her an envelope. What's this? She opened it. Read the first page. Stopped. Then she looked up at me like I'd just turned into a stranger. You're serving me? She hissed. You went behind my back? I gave her a little shrug. Well, I figured we were doing that now. Her face flushed. Not from guilt, from being caught. It's different. Guilt has weight. Getting caught just feels inconvenient. She dropped the papers on the floor like they were contagious. You're overreacting. I smiled. You lied about your mom. You flew to the beach with your side guy. You filed for vacation while telling your boss it was a family emergency. And I'm overreacting? She opened her mouth, closed it, opened it again. Like a fish in a bowl that just realized the water's gone. Then she went for the jugular. You know, if you'd actually made me feel like a woman, I held up a hand. Don't you dare pretend this was about unmet needs. You didn't have a breakdown. You had a beach week. She crossed her arms. I never meant for it to go this far. That line. That classic. I never meant for it to go this far. As if betrayal is a car with no brakes. You made the plans. You packed the sunscreen. You made a choice, Ashley. She flinched. Just a bit. Because the thing about using someone's name during a confrontation, it cuts deeper. It reminds them you know them. Or at least, you did. So what now? She said quietly. You're just ending this? No. I shook my head. You ended this. I'm just putting it on paper. I walked past her, grabbed my duffel bag, the same one I had packed the day she visited her mom. She stood in the hallway, stunned. As if she was the one blindsided. As if she had been loyal. I didn't offer her comfort. I didn't ask questions. I left her with silence. The kind that weighs more than 1,000 arguments. But I wasn't done. Not yet. Because revenge isn't a dish served cold. It's a course. And I had a whole meal planned. You'd be surprised how quiet revenge can be. Hollywood sells you the idea that revenge needs fireballs, yelling, maybe someone crying in the rain. But in reality, the most devastating moves are made with a clipboard and a calm voice. And I had both. By the time Ashley was done blinking at those divorce papers like they were written in hieroglyphics, I was already 5 steps ahead. She didn't know that the very weekend she was sipping cocktails and pretending I didn't exist, I was building a roadmap for her freefall. The HR email did its job. By Monday morning, she had a message from her boss. We need to talk. That phrase is basically corporate speak for, we've already called legal. Turns out, companies don't love it when their employees lie about a family emergency just to play beach bingo with their side piece. And remember Ryan? Yeah, I found out where he worked. He was in real estate. Fancy listings. High commission. Image was everything. So I sent him a little gift too. No threats. No profanity. Just a manila envelope, hand-delivered to his office with a copy of the hotel invoice with both their names, a screenshot of a photo with her legs across his lap poolside, and a printout of the "can't wait to see you in that white bikini again" message, topped with, "Hope this doesn't hurt your brand." See, the thing about Ryan is he markets himself as a family-first, values-based agent. His website literally had a banner that said, "Integrity isn't negotiable." Well, apparently it is. And now his assistant, his broker, and his clients all had a front-row seat to the reality show he thought would stay private. Word spread faster than wildfire through wet leaves. Meanwhile, I kept moving. The house? Mine. She tried to argue that she'd built this life too. So I handed her the title document. My name. My down payment. Bought 3 years before we even met. Her car? Leased. Under my credit. Returned it. Her phone? On my plan. Canceled it. Netflix, Hulu, Spotify? Logged her out of everything. You want a fresh start, Ashley? Here's day one. Now, don't mistake all this for bitterness. I wasn't sitting in a dark room plotting like a villain. I was doing yoga. I was lifting weights. I was sleeping better than I had in months. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't being lied to. I wasn't waiting for someone to love me the way I loved them. I was rebuilding. On purpose. But here's the kicker. Ashley didn't take it well. The first real crack in her voice came 3 days after I left. She called from a new number. Cole, she said, voice soft like we were still having date nights and making pasta. Can we just talk? I was polite. Civil, like a man who'd finally escaped a burning building and didn't miss the heat. She asked me how I could be so cold. Said I was being cruel. Said I didn't even give her a chance to explain. So I gave her silence. She filled it with desperation. You don't have to do this, she whispered. We can fix it. We can start over. I almost laughed. Not out of humor. Out of awe. She wanted a second chance like we were on some game show, and she'd hit the buzzer too early. But you can't hit undo on betrayal. There's no update patch for loyalty once it's deleted. Ashley, I said quietly, you didn't cheat because something was missing. You cheated because you thought you could. You didn't want better. You wanted different. And now you've got it. Click. She called again later that night. I didn't answer. She sent messages. I didn't read them. Because here's what most people don't understand. Real revenge isn't about hurting someone. It's about removing yourself from their reach. It's about giving them nothing to manipulate, nothing to lean on, no rope to climb back up. It's the most deafening silence they'll ever hear. But I wasn't heartless. I made sure she had enough to move out, covered the first month of rent at some mid-range apartment across town. Because that's who I am. I clean up after people, even the ones who broke everything. Her new beginning came with peeling linoleum floors, a broken AC unit, and the realization that Ryan had gone suspiciously quiet since his reputation caught fire. He wasn't texting anymore. No more beach trips. No more white bikini fantasies. Last I heard, he was trying to sell a condo in the suburbs and downplaying the unfortunate drama. I was in my new place by then. Minimalist. No reminders. Just a clean slate. And it was funny how peaceful life became when the lies were gone. I woke up early. Drank my coffee in silence. Sometimes I even smiled for no reason, like I'd forgotten how heavy life used to feel. She kept reaching out, though. Apologies. Memories. Even a voicemail where she played our song, like that would rewind time. But the past wasn't a playlist. And I wasn't hers anymore. That's the thing about betrayal, it doesn't just break love. It rewires it. Turns it into something unrecognizable. A picture you can't hang up again. A song that never sounds the same. So no, I didn't forgive her. Not because I couldn't. Because I didn't need to. I moved on. She stayed stuck. And that was the real revenge. Funny thing about people who cheat, they always think they'll land on their feet. Like cats or influencers. They leap off the ledge of loyalty with full confidence the universe will catch them in a hammock of new love, supportive friends, and conveniently timed forgiveness. Ashley? She thought she'd fallen into a fairy tale with abs. But fairy tales don't come with HR investigations, rent payments, or ex-husbands who play chess while everyone else is playing checkers. A week after she moved into her apartment, charming little place, if your definition of charm includes flickering lights and a broken doorbell, she sent another message. This one wasn't romantic or apologetic. It was practical. I need help. They let me go. I didn't think they'd actually fire me. Turns out, companies don't like it when you lie about family emergencies and get caught doing body shots off a guy named Ryan on Instagram. Who knew? But here's what really salted the wound. Ryan wasn't picking up her calls anymore. She told me that in her follow-up text. He says it's too much drama right now. Wants space. Can we just meet? For coffee. The irony? That's exactly what she told me 6 months ago when she started pulling away. I just need space, Cole. A little time to figure things out. She wasn't figuring anything out back then. She was figuring him out. And now here she was. No job. No man. No plan. And me? Thriving. I didn't respond to her texts. I didn't meet her for coffee. I wasn't going to be her soft place to land. She'd burned the bridge, then danced around the fire like it was some spiritual awakening. I kept my distance. But my lawyer? She didn't. Ashley missed her response deadline for the divorce papers. Claimed she was emotionally unwell. Filed a delay. My lawyer, sharp as a scalpel, filed a motion for default judgment. With the documentation we had, The judge didn't even blink. I got the house, the car, my accounts. She got a couch from Facebook Marketplace and a half-used bottle of shampoo. That's when her mother called. Now, mind you, I hadn't spoken to Ashley's mom in months. Last we talked, she was under the impression her daughter was working through a tough time. I guess Ashley hadn't told her the tough time involved margaritas and a man with a tribal arm tattoo. Cole, her voice cracked. I had no idea what was going on. I'm so sorry. I didn't interrupt. Just listened. She's not well, she continued. I've never seen her like this. She's not eating. She's barely talking. She wanted to know if I'd go see her. Help her. I asked, calmly, did she ever tell you what she did? There was a pause. Bits and pieces. That told me everything. She still hadn't owned it. Not really. She made her choices, I said. And I've made mine. She understood. She didn't agree, but she understood. That weekend, I went to the beach. Same coast, different view. I sat on the sand, cold beer in hand, watching waves roll and like nothing had ever gone wrong. And that's when I saw him. Ryan. Alone. Walking along the shoreline like a man who'd just lost a poker hand he bet his whole life on. He didn't see me. He looked smaller than I remembered. Less smug. Like karma had punched the air out of his lungs and he hadn't figured out how to breathe again. A part of me wondered, had he left her? Had she broken down in front of him, makeup streaked, mascara rained tears, and he saw the real version of the woman he thought he'd won? Because that's the problem with affairs. They're built on illusions. On the fantasy version of each other. The version that doesn't pay bills, or argue about thermostats, or have morning breath. And when the fantasy ends, you're left with the real person. And in Ashley's case, the real person was a liar with an eviction notice and a long list of burned bridges. I left the beach without speaking to him. No need. He was already haunted. And I wasn't in the ghost hunting business. Back home, I started dating again. Carefully. Quietly. I wasn't looking for someone to fill a void. Just someone who didn't carry a matchbook and a history of arson. And wouldn't you know it? There are actually women out there who think honesty is attractive. Wild concept. I kept things simple. No big declarations. No shared Spotify playlists. Just dinner. Laughs. A human connection that didn't feel like a gamble. Meanwhile, Ashley kept spiraling. A mutual friend said she'd applied for a job at a boutique and lasted 3 days. Something about attitude issues. Another said she was trying to get a spot on a reality dating show. Because of course she was. She reached out again. This time, it was an email. I know you hate me. I probably deserve that. But I miss you. I miss who we were. I miss feeling safe. And for the first time, I almost responded. Not because I missed her, but because I finally didn't. I sat with that feeling for a while. Let it settle. That freedom. That weightlessness. Then I hit delete. No reply. Because sometimes, the best way to say, I'm over you, is to say nothing at all. If karma's a mirror, Ashley finally saw her own reflection, and it was looking back with my sister's face. Yeah, my sister, Rachel. Now, Rachel never liked Ashley. Not even at the wedding, where she gave a toast that sounded more like a eulogy. She always said Ashley smiled with her mouth, not her eyes. And like most sisters, she didn't believe in sugarcoating. She believed in surgical strikes. Ashley must have thought that after the dust settled, Rachel would be neutral, maybe even compassionate. Instead, Rachel ran into her at a cafe, and instead of awkward small talk, she dropped this. You had a good man, and you traded him for a beach fling and a 10 line. Hope it was worth it. Ashley apparently tried to cry, to defend herself, to say she was in a dark place. But Rachel wasn't having it. You weren't in a dark place. You were in Cabo. Don't confuse tanning oil with trauma. Word spread. Fast. Ashley's support system, the friends who used to like her Instagram stories and post heart emojis under selfies, started pulling away. Nobody wanted to be associated with the girl who blew up her marriage for a guy who ghosted her after 2 weeks and cost her a job. And that's when the spiral became a nosedive. Part 8. The apartment downfall. Ashley couldn't afford the rent. That trendy apartment with the exposed brick and the urban chic name turned on her fast. Late notices turned into warnings. Warnings turned into court filings. She messaged me again. If you could just lend me a little to get through next month, I swear I'll pay you back. I didn't even dignify it with a no. You can't loan money to someone who bankrupted your trust. She sold a few handbags online, tried freelancing, started a lifestyle blog that got a total of 5 followers and 1 sad post about reclaiming identity. But the truth? She wasn't reclaiming anything. She was realizing she'd built her life on scaffolding I held up. And now that I wasn't there to support it, the whole thing was collapsing. Part 9. The final move. I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. Ryan, we should talk. Man to man. Oh, I laughed. A deep, honest laugh. Apparently, Ashley had found her way back to him. Or tried to. And he, get this, wanted to compare notes. We met at a bar. Neutral territory. He showed up looking like someone who hadn't slept in weeks. Tan fading, smile gone. She said you were controlling, he started. I sipped my beer. She said you were successful. He sighed. She's been calling. Showing up. Crying. Telling me we were meant to be. And what did you say? I said I'm not a therapist. For once, we agreed on something. He admitted he never thought she'd actually leave me. That she was just testing boundaries. Said she talked about me even when she was with him. She misses you, he said. I set down my drink. Yeah, she also misses stable income and a functioning social circle. Then I paid my tab and left. I wasn't angry at Ryan anymore. He wasn't the thief. Ashley was the one who unlocked the door. Part 10. The ending she wrote. 6 months passed. Divorce finalized. House redecorated. I adopted a dog named Winston who likes jazz and hates liars. Smart dog. Then came the final letter. Handwritten. Sloppy ink. No return address. Ashley, I know you won't read this. But if you do, I want you to know I'm sorry. Not just for cheating. For taking you for granted. For thinking love was replaceable. You didn't deserve it. I wish I had seen you for who you were instead of resenting you for who you weren't. She ended it with, I still dream about you. About us. But I know now. I lost the one person who actually saw me. I folded the letter, placed it in a drawer. Not because I forgave her. Not because I wanted it. But because it was proof that even the one who breaks you can sometimes break themselves worse. She didn't just lose me. She lost her mirror, the version of herself that could have been better. As for me, I'm good. No bitterness. Just peace. The kind that comes when you walk away from a fire and don't look back. She wanted adventure. She got it. She just forgot. When you lie to get to paradise, sometimes you drown there.